As I train myself and then I teach other people, it's like, look, if you're not training to your highest performance, you're really doing yourself a disservice. Because I know a guy who out-trained everybody, and still, a buddy of mine was on the other line. He says, hey Mark, you got to respond to West Valley. Okay. And then he's followed up with,
welcome back to the AEGA, a police podcast here with your host, Marlon Marachi. I think we're already determined after a year and a half. All guests are special. I got a good one for you, but before we begin, another special day. Feliz 28 a todos mis peruanos. Viva el Perú, carajo. Tú sabes que siempre estarás en mi pecho. Siempre estás en mi sangre y siempre vas a ser mi tierra. So if you don't understand in Spanish, I suggest that you translate that, because Peru will always be home, right? So look, before we get started, Mark, I got to know this right off the bat. So first of all, do you think people are going to remember Roto-Rooter?
oh yeah, people know Roto-Rooter.
You think so? Well, let me ask you this. Is there Roto-Rooter still, is it still a company today?
Oh, I would assume. I mean, that's a big one.
You, plumbing. So here we are, you're in high school. Big shout out to your classmate, right?
Yes. Well, football teammate.
Alex Pacheco.
Alex Pacheco.
Shout out to Alex Pacheco. I got Mark Aguilar, Code 6, man, here. Let me ask you this, though. So here you're in high school, and at some point you said you went to this 5-year apprentice program to become a plumber?
Yeah, so basically, my father was a plumber by trade.
Okay.
He was actually an architect, but he hated the office.
Okay.
So he landed up going into plumbing, and he went into general construction plumbing, so new construction. After I graduated from high school, I tried Mount Sac, and I learned going to high school at Bishop Amat, private school, they keep you in check, right? You have to be there.
Okay.
So when I went to Mount Sac, it was the complete opposite. They were like, you don't have to be here. So I decided, well, why should I be here if I don't have to be? Right. So spent a lot of time at the beach, tried to do some surfing there, and then realized I got no money. So I need a job. I had been plumbing with my dad since I was about 12 years old, so it was kind of just a natural fit. So he worked for a company, and they knew me. They offered me a job when I went to them and got me in the union in an apprenticeship at a very young age. So the plan was to finish my apprenticeship, become a journeyman, and go from there, and maybe one day start my own business, start my own plumbing company.
And give Roto-Rooter a shot for their money.
There you go.
You'd be surprised. I don't think many are going to know what Roto-Rooter is. So if you don't know, you know what? Google it. Roto-Rooter is your go-to if you have any plumbing issues, and I believe if you call like the number, they're 24/7.
Oh, they're 24/7, yeah. And big money in that. Luckily, I didn't have to do that stuff. I did new construction.
Okay.
But what landed up happening was my father passed away very suddenly. Mm-hmm. So after that happened, I had no interest in plumbing at all.
Okay.
I did not want to do it. So I figured, hey, I got to do something else. Right. And to be honest, I had no clue what I was going to do. I was not one of these kids who grew up, I want to be a cop, that was the furthest thing. I was probably running from the cops more than thinking about. And I say that jokingly, but it just wasn't something that interested me until the night my father passed. And a sheriff, we were in county, LA County sheriffs responded, and long story short, it had a huge impact on me. And it made me want to help people. So after everything happened and went to my company and said, hey, I want to quit. Luckily, the owner of the company, they were very, very kind and said, hey, don't quit. Just kind of stay until you figure out what you're going to do. So I did, and started testing, and it was, early 93, and LA County, LAPD, CHP, which I don't know why I did that, but I did. Because I think at that time I didn't know anything about law enforcement.
Right.
So CHP turned me down right away because they're like, you have 3 speeding tickets. I'm like,
Okay.
like, okay, I guess LA County, it was a wait list forever. And LAPD, I got lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Shout out to 794.
Yes, 794.
That's
so
awesome, man.
We would have just hit our 31 years, but I retired March 31st.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Hey, let me ask you this, though, Mark. Do you think that your experience in plumbing, or that trade, now as you reflect, did it somehow, some way help you be I guess you could say, a better officer or a good officer, or even just in law enforcement? What do you think?
Definitely. What I've learned over time, and as I've gotten older, you can tell by the gray hair, everything you do should be helping you grow and become better at whatever, especially becoming just a better person. But what plumbing really did for me was it taught me how to get up early in the morning, which was really helpful in the academy.
Yes.
It taught me how to work with my hands, which obviously we use different types of weapons, different tools. So everything was very seamless for me. And it taught you how to work with a team. So, in our law enforcement and LAPD, where especially the units I worked with, I pretty much spent my whole career in small units, starting with Crash. And for those who don't know Crash, that was the old gang unit.
That's right.
Then went to Metro and, done different teams throughout my career. But if you're not a team player, you're not going to do well those places.
Yeah, no.
So in plumbing, I was a very small guy back then, probably 160 pounds.
Okay.
So I was the tunnel rat. I was the get on the ducting and wait. And so the other guys are doing things, but it was all a team effort. So it really taught me how to become a team player and knowing your role. Not everybody's a quarterback. Not everybody's a superstar.
That's right.
Sometimes you got to be the guy that's just in the shadows, making sure everything gets done. So.
Not everybody's QB1.
That's right. That is for
right.
sure.
Out of curiosity, because you and I have been talking for quite some time, and I believe that you mentioned something on the lines like, hey, man, I didn't even think that this Internal Affairs podcast was even like, why did you even do it? Or would it be fair to say that it was an element of surprise?
100%. First, I want to say thank you for doing it. I think it's very courageous to do something that is out of the norm. And I'm just being honest, most people want to stick with, okay, everything's going to go this way, go that way, and it's normal. You have different podcasts. Oh, everybody wants to talk about this, the sexy stuff, right? Shootings or this or that. But to talk about a subject that for most officers we don't like, let's just be honest. That's a tough one. And then how do you make it relatable, right? With LAPD, we've got, when we were full strength, we're almost near 10,000. I don't know what the numbers are today, but I know it's a lot lower. And let's just be honest, a good portion of these officers, including myself, never were truly affected by IA for whatever reason.
Correct.
Could be luck, could be just right place, right time, or whatever. But the ones who have been affected have really, some of them, it's changed their lives dramatically. So it is an important issue. And I think, like I said, to have this, you get to bring in different views and you get to bring in a perspective, especially for you having worked it. I only know a few people who've worked it. Most of the guys I know worked SOD. And I don't know if that's something you guys ever talk about, but.
Oh, no, one of my bosses was worked SOD. We haven't gotten to the sexy, type of investigations, and I appreciate that. And you know what? It is. I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's something that cops stay away from. We can agree that it's very taboo.
Yes.
Right? It's very hush-hush. I don't think anybody wants to talk about when, hey, let me tell you about the time when I got in trouble, or better yet, the department, kind of went after me and they got it wrong.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And there is that time where, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm holding myself accountable, and I pretty much effed up, and there's some lessons learned. And unfortunately, those type of guests haven't really stopped by, because I just feel as though that, again, it's something that maybe we just don't want to talk about. But hey, I'm a believer of learning and getting some growth. And here we are, 100 and almost 50 guests later at a year and a half with 1.2 million views. And
Congratulations.
thank you. I appreciate that. And I say that only to let the audience know that it's very important to talk about discipline, because I think that we can get some growth, whatever function that may be. So let's get to it, man. Look, July of 1994. So here we are in the academy. The question I have for you is, from the time that you started the academy in 1994 up until today, we're having this conversation about internal affairs. What was your impression of internal affairs back then compared to today? And has that impression changed? And if so, how?
So I think first is 794, starting out in the academy, not really knowing anything about law enforcement. I'm green, I'm learning. My class was 34 people, 31 of them were military.
Okay.
3 were not. I was one of the not.
Wow.
So everybody was squared away, polished shoes, clean guns.
So you had a good class.
Great class. And luckily for me, they took me under their wings and they taught me how to do all the little things that I had no clue. So just a tremendous group. But I'll be honest, I don't remember anything about IA coming in and talking to us. What's going to happen? The only thing that really had the biggest impact in me was our day with SWAT. That was what I because it was the guys who I looked up to. I didn't know anything about SWAT back then.
Right.
But we went to I think it was abandoned movie studios, and we did I don't know if they still do it today, but you do a one-day training with them, and the guys were they were cool.
Yeah.
You know, they don't treat.
You're like, I want that.
Yeah, and you know, you're used to the instructors, right?
Yeah.
You're used to the instructors just screaming at you and just belittling you, and I remember just going, man, if we weren't here, it'd be a whole different outcome if you yelled at me like that. But you know your role and you do it. So then we go to this training, and no instructors there, just SWAT guys, and they treat you good. Yeah. They treat you like you're a person, and they tell you about what they do and how they got there. And I just remember going, that's what I'm going to do. I never made it. You know, I got really, really close, but I never made it. I made another unit that, if you want, we can talk about. That I'm very, very proud of. Yeah. But that was what I remember. And I wish I would have come in. And if they did, they didn't leave an impression.
Got it.
Which maybe that was me. Maybe I just didn't care. But that was my journey. Now, throughout my career, I was working crash when the Rampart crash
scandal, so-called scandal.
Yeah, and I've heard your podcast on that, and I agree with you. Yeah. I 100% agree with you. I actually went through a leadership school, and it was used to be the West Point leadership. Now it's, I think, just called the LAPD leadership school.
The commanding officer.
Yeah, and there was lieutenants, captains from other agencies, and there was a big thing about the Rampart scandal. And I remember just I pulled the instructor inside, who was a lieutenant at the time, not the instructor, but coordinator for the school. And I said, what's being taught is incorrect. He says, okay, good for you. Tomorrow, you're doing an hour class. Okay.
So how did that go?
It went well. You know, I was boots on the ground. I was working Hollywood Crash at the time when Rampart Crash, that happened. Very good friends of mine working Rampart Crash. We bordered divisions, so we worked a lot together. And I knew a lot of the things that were being said were just not true.
Correct.
And then how things took turn. But bottom line is, that was my first kind of look at, okay, what's IA doing? You know, a really good friend of mine who I've reconnected with lately, which is really nice. Classmate of mine took some bad advice during that Rampart thing and ended up resigning.
Oh, okay.
When everyone else got their jobs, held their jobs, went on to great things. He landed up becoming a fireman, which
it's great.
We all look at as great, but his passion was with us.
Yeah.
It was. And so that's when I kind of saw how things work.
Yeah, to your point, even if, and I'll tell you the same thing, Mark, I say this, I've said this before, where even if they came in the academy and they did a 1 hour presentation, because, we got to get our all Ds done, our learning domains, we got to get those done. It probably would have went through 1 year and out the other, because, dude, all I'm trying to do is graduate.
Exactly.
That's all I want to do. And so I feel like right there and then, and that's the reason why I ask, is because right there and then, I think that function could have an impact on someone young.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, look, if you do this, and this, you might end up getting terminated.
Yeah. And I think it's the way it's presented.
Correct.
It's like, I still teach. I stayed on as a reserve.
Okay.
And I teach operational plans for the department at gang school. And I remember when a buddy of mine asked me if I would teach that, and I'm like, wow, that is a boring topic. Like, it is literally filling out the box, checking the boxes, filling out the box, doing all this stuff. So I really looked at it because I know how important they are.
Correct.
And they can literally save your job. So what I did was really, with not just myself, I got a group of the guys I worked with, and I said, how can we make this to where a gang officer, most gang officers are young, they want to be in the field. They want to go do the work that they want to do. They don't want to sit in a classroom and get taught by some old guy about, having to fill out this paperwork and how important it is. So what I did was I really tried to make it to where it made an impact on them, whether it's through stories or how important it is. And then, let's just be honest, when a first page of a form, when it's just fill in the boxes, I don't need to go over that.
Yeah,
if you can't fill that out, I really can't help you. Like, what I want to get to is what's important.
Yes.
And the same thing like with IA, if they came in and were able to tell those stories, they don't have to use names, but just be able to make an impact.
Yes.
To where, like you said, if you do this, you're going to get fired.
Yeah. This is what's going to happen to you.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you because this is a case study.
Yeah.
Somebody did this.
Yeah.
I've had classmates fired.
Yeah.
One right out of the academy, and deserved it.
Yes.
Right? And that's the whole thing, right? As much as we demonize it, we need it.
Yeah.
But how do we balance that? And then,
good point. As much as we demonize it, yet we don't educate.
Perfect.
That's the way I see it. And interestingly enough, where I take it in your experience with your FTOs, they probably told you those guys are just evil.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh, 100%. Just hey.
And the reason why I'm asking about all this stuff, and this is where the growth comes in, this is what I'm learning ever since I started the podcast, is that how can we change that negative stigma? Hey, they're the dark side, they're bad people, and me personally, I don't think it should be that way. I mean, I've worked it.
It shouldn't. No, and I've had good friends work there. Like I said, I think it's an understanding and it's educating, and I think it's a reality of you get these FTO. It doesn't have to be FTO. You get coppers who they want to just demonize it, and some of them who've never even dealt with them, but it's the hearsay.
Yeah.
Oh, I know a guy, or my buddy went through that, and I get it. Maybe they did, but do you actually know everything that happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%.
And the guy actually do it.
Yeah. And then you probably had when you were a probationary officer, right? You're doing your probation and you see this young officer just totally disgruntled because and then even though there's probably no self-accountability. In other words, dude, I went off duty and I did this and I got jammed up and now the department is after me. Well, you know what? You kind of did it to yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
But let's just take that because we know who that officer is. There's always one. And because you're new at this,
100%.
at this profession, you're thinking to myself, oh my God, maybe the department is after him. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really, that's how come FTO positions or anybody training new people is so important. Yeah. It's a tough one because, such a large agency.
Yeah.
Things get lost and and things get people get confused. People get confused over things they hear or see. I won't go into it, but I heard I got a call. I'm retired. I got a call about 3 days ago, and a friend of mine says, "Hey, did you hear this rumor?" And I'm like, "Really? You're calling me about a rumor on the department? Like, come on, like, let's not do that."
Yeah. Let's not be
And the sad part is, I listened.
Yeah.
You know, I
like,
couldn't
no,
help it. I had to listen.
It's juicy.
You know,
gotta
I
know.
had to hear. You know, but and that's the same thing like with newer officers, because they're so impressionable, right?
Absolutely.
Do you? I mean, and I don't know if I'm supposed to ask the question.
You can ask.
Do
We're just
you
having a
know
conversation, bro.
What we do now for recruits in terms of IA?
We don't. That's the problem.
Are you serious?
To this very day, my understanding is that, and please, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but these learning domains are so like mandated by posts, right? That no one has really taken the time to say, hey, you know what? Let's bring someone that got fired.
Yeah.
You know, and if we have to pay him, I don't know, give him apparel or
bring somebody who took
a Starbucks, whatever.
Someone took a 65-day hit.
Someone who took a 65-day hit,
or got demoted, or
let's bring in someone who went through the whole system. That's going to have an impact,
huge.
Right? And here's the deal: what a lot of these recruits, now we're talking about recruits, is they don't know. Well, they should know that they are temporary employees, and for the next 18 months from day one, you can be fired at no cause. We can easily just say, hey, you know what? You're not fit to be a cop. You got to go. But there's some education behind it. You know, there's an IA. Maybe there is an incident, and you have to investigate it, and so on and so forth. But, you know, it's a fair question. No, absolutely. I've had guests take over as hosts. Don't feel bad. Please take over and make it your the IA Guy Police Podcast. But my point is, yes, there hasn't, to this very day, I don't think Post really, and this is just, I'm being critical in my opinion, I don't think they really quite understand or get the grasp of how important discipline is, or misconduct for that matter. But no, man, I appreciate all that. Let me ask you this. You've been investigating for how long? You've been an investigator for quite some time.
Well, actually, most of my career I was in the field.
Okay.
You know, I spent 15 years in Metro.
Right.
But I've been an investigator for my last 12 years.
Right. So SIS, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you worked SIS for 12 years.
Well, no, I worked SIS for 5 years.
You worked there for 5 years.
But an investigator for 12.
You've been investigating for 12. Let's put that on the shelf. You worked at SIS as 5. Would it be fair to say that during your time in those 12 years, no stone goes unturned?
True. Oh, 100%.
Okay, so let's keep that in mind. And let me ask you this. If I gave you the podium today in a room full of sergeants, they're getting ready to begin their internal affairs to become investigators, day one. And what's the one thing you want them to know about that job?
As an internal affairs investigator, I think the most important thing is don't forget where you came from. Don't forget where you came from, and don't put your bias on it. Don't look at people and go, well, he works this division, she works this division. I already have a bias. Just do your case and be fair about it. And the outcome's going to be the outcome.
Right.
That's it. And if it's just like as myself when I was an investigator, if I didn't have enough to file, I didn't have enough to file.
Mark, let me ask you this, because I haven't asked another guest this, and I'm just so curious to know. Have you had a case where you tried to obtain a false confession or someone was lying to you? Or you felt like, you know what, they're just not telling the truth?
Oh, yeah, a lot.
A lot.
A lot.
Keep that in mind. Walk me through the treatment or the strategy, investigative method of trying to obtain a confession.
So
if you will.
So for me,
and where I'm going with this and where I'm going with this is that, because what I want the audience to know is how different is that to one where we try to do the same of one of our colleagues.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%. And I don't think it's any different. When I would do it is when I did have the facts that I knew this person was guilty of this crime. Trying to get to confession was just going to help the case. I still had the case. And I think that's the big difference, right? If I didn't have enough to get a confession, to be honest, I didn't even go that route.
Okay.
Because that's not my style.
Okay.
I needed the evidence. I needed it because then when I'm talking to this person, I'm interviewing them, I know I'm there, you know?
I'll take it from that point. Do you think, again, that the suspect or the defendant knew that, I kind of have this, in other words, that you ask all those hard questions?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Do
definitely.
you think if I'm the suspect asking me questions, you think they probably thought to themselves, or maybe with their lawyer, like, hey, man, they really do have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, no, I'll never forget one case in particular where the guy was a mixed martial arts fighter.
Okay.
Professional, and nothing, like no big name,
Right.
but he fought professionally in Florida and came out here, got into like the Hollywood scene and all that, and landed up almost killing this kid.
Okay.
And when I was doing the interview, I had it on video. Like there was no denying it. So, but I'm going to hold that, right? I don't need to give him everything in the beginning. And I said a couple of things and he looked at me and he goes, yeah, you got me, huh? I said, you tell me. Okay, I'll tell you what happened. And up until that point, he was denying even being there, and then but once he knew, and like you were saying, there was that point where I think he just looked at me and was, no, this guy knows, but I've had other cases where I've tried to get it and look, if it's not there, it's not there.
But you should ask the hard questions.
Oh, 100%. You asked the hard questions.
Yeah, well, you know what, Mark, without me saying too much, I think I'm kind of spelling it out for the crowd is you'd be surprised that we, internal affairs investigators, we don't treat it the same. I shouldn't say we don't treat it the same. We just don't have, I suppose, the experience, or we just don't get the guidance.
Yeah.
To say that, you know what, you need to ask the hard questions.
Yeah.
And we don't. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think that's where, and I don't know how IA works.
Right, you
terms
haven't
of,
worked, exactly.
When you get into IA, is there a mentorship program? Or are you just, hey, you're an investigator, you got this Sergeant 2 or D2 spot or whatever
Have at
rank, go do it.
Yeah.
Here's your case.
Yeah.
When I made detective, I'll never forget, I was very fortunate, and I had a D3 who pulled me aside, and he was actually really funny about it because he's like, oh, Metro, huh? So we don't book pipes and we don't do this. We actually investigate crimes here. So I'm going to hold your hand until you know how to investigate. And I'll tell you what, as much as it was not an insult, but jokingly, I appreciated it because I wasn't an investigator. And there's nothing that they do in detective school. There's nothing. You take a test, you take an interview, and if you score high enough, you band high enough, you make detective. Yeah. And then you get wherever you're assigned. I was assigned to Hollywood. You get a stack full of cases, and you're expected to go interview or investigate. But if you don't have a mentor, you're
not going to learn as much.
You're not going to learn as much.
Yeah.
And again, like in IA, I think it's even more important because it's a different investigation. And I'm not trying to say we should treat it better or different, but different, yes, because you're dealing with different people. Yeah. I mean, let's just be honest. Cops, one thing that cops are good at is knowing how to read people.
Yes.
So when you're in an interview, you're being investigated by another officer, you're reading them.
Yeah.
Right? You probably have great stories on your interviews and what you could tell by body language,
Yeah, no, absolutely. My thinking is the remedy, if you will, of being a better investigator is to ensure that you're asking the hard questions. And again, I'm not going to criticize our beloved LAPD. We're both LAPD alums. This is happening up and down the state of California. I teach for Savage Training Group. Shout out to Savage Training Group, an internal affairs course. But you'd be surprised. What ends up happening is, as a culture, is we do an IA investigation, and after we do the compelled interview, for whatever reason, now it becomes more serious, right? So now all the adjudicators, right, the lieutenant commander or whatever, they start talking. And someone just arbitrarily says, you know what, I think they were lying, right? And next thing you know, they say, go ahead and frame an allegation for dishonesty.
Wow.
That's pretty serious.
Very serious.
That's that quote, you lie, you die,
Yeah.
right? And so, but what we don't do is say, you know what, I think they're lying. So guess what, investigator, Sarge, you need to re-interview them.
Yeah.
What? I do? Yes. But wait a minute. I gotta ask him if he's lying or not. Yes. You signed up for this job.
That is a tough job to
You know,
sign up
and
for.
it exactly. Yeah. By all means, none of this is easy,
No.
right? I would imagine a murder suspect's not easy to get a confession, nor is any other serial violent criminal. It's not. And I think we missed that.
Yeah.
We missed that point. We just wait until the end. Hey, you know what? Come in for your skelly, get served, and oh, now you're accusing me of lying? And that's where I think there's that disconnect that I hope that we can do better. What do you think?
I hope so. I hope so, because you're 100% correct. Is, you know, if we're not doing that, we're hurting each other. And I get it. Like you said, it's hard, but I'll be honest, I never applied for IA. Like, it wasn't something I wanted to do. When I was trying to make D2 to go into to try out for SIS, people were like, dude, just take a spot wherever you can. I'm like, no, I can't do that. Like, that's just not who I am. And this is not a negative about IA, but at that time, I really didn't know that many people who worked it. And I really didn't know what they did. You know, and I think that's part of it. Like we talked about in the academy, right? Like, what does IA do? You know, I mean, we have this stigma.
Correct.
But, you know, I would assume, and this is coming from talking to different people, is they clear more officers than anything.
Correct.
Right? And especially with LAPD, because we take complaints about everything.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, and there may be somebody who wants to do that if they don't know about it, you know. It's funny, and I'm kind of going off topic here.
No,
but,
please.
You know, one of the things that I always, whenever I teach, I always ask the class, who's familiar with the League's Heat Fund? And the League's Heat Fund is, you know, LAPD union, and every year, now it's up to $1,500 a year. They will reimburse you for any training you go to that's related to the job. And that could be shooting, tactics, interviews, it doesn't matter. I'm still shocked. Well, one, I didn't learn about it till I had 20 years on the job. So that was 20 years I spent my own money.
You missed out.
I missed out. $20,000.
Yeah.
That's nothing to scoff at,
No,
right?
it's not.
So, but now fast forward 10 years later, and I'm asking these questions, and there's still probably 90% who don't know.
No.
So the reason I bring that up is it's the education, right? People hear about IA, okay, I don't want to talk about it. Or all they hear is they're a bunch of this, or they're this, or they're going to come after you. Oh, if you get an email with a CF number, you know, you're done.
Yeah, he just got the rocker because he wants to make lieutenant.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but I think you start it, it's like anything, right? Start them young, educate them properly so that they understand it. So when something does happen 5 years later and they start hearing the rumors or whatever, now they can at least make an educated guess or not educated decision.
I know you don't have that many IA stories. We kind of talked and touched a little bit on that. But what I will ask you is, do you know of a partner or someone that you're very close to that has gone through the process? And why I bring that up is because you do agree with me that at times, not all the time, but at times, the punishment really is the process. It's not really the penalty, right?
Yeah.
In other words, if I'm waiting 2 or 3 years, you know, for something that I kind of think I did something right and I didn't, what do you think?
No, I have some really good partners, you know, like I said, the Rampart thing, that they spent 3 years. I mean, they were doing everything from literally collecting coins out of video games, out of arcades, to, I mean, and again, I know they've lost families, they've lost houses, and it's that process. And then 3 years later, oh, not guilty. Well, what about those 3 years that this person was sitting at home, and then, you know, on the other spectrum is you go through the process and you're cleared, but that process is still there on your rap sheet, and you know that's your report that has all, for those that don't know, and then you go for an interview for a job and they go, oh, well, but I was found not guilty. Well, we have this other guy who's never been through anything.
Right.
You know, and so that really hurts.
Who do we hold accountable for that? What do you think?
Culture.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's culture because.
Yeah, it's not just the bosses, right?
Yeah. I know some great bosses who have literally said, I don't care. Like, not that they don't care.
Yeah.
This should not affect their ability to get a position. They've earned it. They've shown it. They were not guilty. Why are we still holding them accountable or punishing them after the fact when they didn't do anything? It was proven they didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
But it almost seems like there's some people that, one, they're not really like, do they really believe they were not guilty?
Right.
You know?
Oh,
Well, it's there. It's kind of like, you know, us as officers when we run a rap sheet for a criminal, right?
Yeah.
And they've got 12 arrests and only 3 convictions.
Yeah.
Well, the assumption is, well, you just got away with those other ones, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh, yeah.
is-
You just got away with
You just
those.
got away with those. Like you did them,
Yeah.
but you just got away with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Is we think that way. So therefore, when it comes to officers, and you've got this rap sheet, and it's like, okay, not sustained or unfounded, whatever it is, and he's got 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
You kind of did them,
I
but you
think
didn't do
did.
them.
You just didn't get
You're
caught.
tainted.
Yeah.
You're tainted.
So,
There's a scar.
So I think that's part of it. You know,
yeah. No, that's the culture.
how that would change, I would think, is remove them.
Yeah.
You know, if it's and I don't know enough about the system to say at what point do they get removed, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
You know, so
that's fair enough.
But I will say this story about
Please.
IA, and it just popped into me. So I was working a surveillance team. It wasn't SIS. It was another one, and I remember getting a phone call, and they're like, "Hey, they're following you." I'm like, "What?" They're following you. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, IA's following your unit. I'm like, oh, shoot, okay. So call my boss up. I go, hey, I got a call that we're being followed. He's like, well, who is it? I go, I'm not going to give you names. And the guy didn't even work IA. So that was it. So then I'm like, I know somebody really well in IA. I'm really going to find out. So I called and, you know, probably wasn't supposed to say anything, but he's like, no, you're not being followed. But I'll tell you right now, you talk about being paranoid. I'm driving, you know, I'm in a city car, we're doing surveillance, and we're going from, you know, San Pedro to Hollenbeck, and I'm seeing people, I'm like, oh, I think that's one. I think that, and I mean, and I'm not joking, Marlon, when I say I would have put money that I spotted 4 IA investigators.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm like, oh, I'm good. I'm picking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not that good. But I'll tell you what it did, Will. It really just, it puts that pucker factor in you.
Yeah.
Like, I could only imagine if you were being followed.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny because, you know, work in SIS, and that's all we did, right? That's our job, is to follow people. But I never put myself on their end, like what they're
you
going
being
through.
followed.
Yeah. So I thought that was a funny story.
Interesting you say that, because you're right. The pucker factor just skyrockets. Let me ask you this, because I know not many people know about SIS. Not many people, you know, you guys are elite. Not many people know the function. Well, I shouldn't say not many people. What I could say is that young officers don't even know what that function is. Without giving any details or anything like that. What I like to ask you is, you were there for 5 years. What did you learn about yourself about that job?
Whew. I think what I learned the most is how, as you grow older, you can actually learn more. I learned so much from that unit, that team, the people. I think the biggest thing I came out of there was more humble. Understanding I don't know a lot, that I need to learn, I need to train, I need to do all these things to become, and I don't like to use the word, but you said elite. Yeah. You know, we're very blessed, very fortunate. We get to train with a lot of different teams that, you know, to be honest, I can't even mention. But
Right.
What I really took out of it was just the learning process doesn't stop. And I actually think it should kick in more as you grow older. Because, you know, when you're young, you're just kind of doing things, and no one really looks to you for direction.
Or advice.
For advice.
Good point.
You know, the minute I walked in the room, somebody says he works SIS, everything changes. Yeah. Oh, how do you do this? Or what do you carry? Or what do you, all these different things. And I'm like, man, I better have my ducks in a row, you know, because I'm going to look, first, I don't want to embarrass the unit, right? That's the first thing.
That's an ego shot.
Yeah. And then second, I don't want to embarrass myself. Yeah. But then more importantly, I don't want to give this person bad information. Yeah. You know, the one of the things I really learned is if I don't know the answer, hey, I don't know, but I'll find it for you. That's the one thing I got really good at is finding resources. Hey, if I don't know, I'll get it.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, Mark, educate me. We have an SIS because we're a large agency. Are there any other type of units that are that specialized in other agencies?
A one-word answer, yes.
Okay.
But to really
the long answer is probably not many.
True. Some have absolutely zero.
Okay.
Most are a kind of a hybrid.
Right.
You know.
Okay. Right. So there's not one that's completely dedicated.
Yeah.
To this function. I do know LASD does have one because there was the movie.
Den of Thieves.
Den of Thieves.
Well, it's funny. I did the consulting, unaccredited, but I did the consulting with Gerard Butler.
Oh man.
Yeah. What a great man. What a great.
What a great movie.
It was and you know what? The best part, he actually took something I told him.
Nice.
It was neat to see in the movie.
That's awesome.
But like Anaheim PD, we've trained with those guys. Very, very similar.
Okay.
They maybe even be the exact same thing, but I don't know the scope of their work as much.
Right.
You know, ours is so specialized, and there's a criteria, right?
Right.
Like if you're an investigator and you want to use SIS and you call me up, it's not an automatic yes.
Correct.
It's okay, these are the questions I got to ask you. You know, just like a screen down, right?
Yeah.
Is okay. I got to ask you this, and this, and if it meets all that, there's a possibility we'll work it.
Right.
Because we've got a caseload, right? And we've got to manage it.
Absolutely.
But I've had people call me and I'm like, hey, it just doesn't meet it. Yeah. Well, then what do you know? Some guys would get a little upset. What are you here for?
You're a little butthurt.
Yeah. And it's like, hey, look, I can help you. Like, I can send you to another surveillance team. I can give you a name here.
Yeah.
And that was the big thing, right? Like, you're always trying to help and mentor and just be a resource, you know? I think for a time on our department, we lost that. You know, when I was young, it was like mentors were, not they were a dime a dozen, but that was a thing, you know.
Yes.
And I don't know if you remember that.
No, 100%.
We had it, and then it just seemed like it dropped off for a bit. Yeah. And I'm glad to see that it's coming back, you know. So,
well, that's good, man. Hey, look, let me ask you this: worst incident in your career?
You know, having watched your podcast many times, and they're great.
Thank you.
I knew that question was coming, and I really just kind of just pounded my head against the wall, like, what is it? What is it, right? And the one incident that I think just gets me no matter what was the night Randy Simmons was killed. Randy was a mentor of mine, you know, a personal friend, and what a great man. So when that phone rang and it was Metro desk, I was working Metro, I was at home off, and a buddy of mine was on the other line. He says, "Hey, Mark, you got to respond to West Valley." Okay. And then he said, followed up with, and I'm getting chills right now, Randy was killed. And man, it's hitting me now like it did then. It just was one of those ones. It's just,
You couldn't believe it.
couldn't believe it, you know, could not believe it, still can't. You know, we talk about mindset, we talk about training, we talk about all these different things, right? And Randy was the epitome. I mean, everything. He was it all. He was the hero. And still, you know, and I think that's why, for me, as I train myself and then I teach other people, it's like, look, if you're not training to your highest performance, you're really doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
Because I know a guy who out-trained everybody, and still, you know, and I know I've heard you, and I'm there with you as a believer in God and all that, and that, you know, things happen and there's a plan, but it's still hard to deal with, you know?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Randy Simmons, the incident, there is no lessons learned. How does faith put such a great man to leave us in moments where I would imagine he shined the most? I didn't know him that well, but he was just loved by everybody.
He really was. And I think one of the saddest things, well, everything's sad about that, but probably about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks prior, he was teaching me. I just become a team leader, not in SWAT, in Metropolitan Division, and we did high-risk warrants, so I was a team leader now. So he was mentoring me on how to run a team, how to run a stick. And I remember we were on a break, and he's sitting there, and he says, you know, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, and I'm going to go to the academy and finish out my time. And, you know, that just had an impact, because it was, in essence, I feel like he was ready to move on.
Yes.
You know, and I left drop early.
Yeah.
And for me, I've had guys call me up. They're like, dude, what is wrong with you? Like, you left SIS. Like, are you crazy? And I'll be honest, the reason I left was sitting at home one day and we got a call out. And I just went, I don't want to go. I wasn't like into anything. Like, I wasn't at a party. I just didn't want to go. I went and, you know, handled the call and everything. But after that, I really had to do some self-reflection and talk to my wife and my family, my kids. And I'm like, you know what? I think it's time.
Yeah, you bring up another good point too, is I know you remember telling me you were on call 50 times out of the 52 weeks in 1 year. Have you learned, as you reflect about yourself, knowing that perhaps not everything is LAPD?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I'll be honest.
Because you're not the first one that I've heard from. I mean, I think let's take me, for example. I've worked 20 years of my life, 6-7 days a week.
Yeah.
I was never home, and what got me was a divorce and time away from my my awesome, beautiful daughter, who's now getting ready to turn 21. And I don't know why I'm looking forward to having a drink with her on her 21st birthday in October, but it just to show you that I'm older. That's just all that means is that, Dad, you're getting old. But the point I'm trying to make is, for me, health and family was more important. And as I listened to you, I would imagine you could agree with me that SIS is just a very demanding job. What do you think?
Oh, you know, you hear about the units, you hear about different teams, you know, whether it be SWAT, SIS, gang narcotics, whatever it is, very high demanding, right? But you want to work there, right? Because that's the work you want to do. My goal was never to go to SIS, to be honest. You know, my goal was to go to SWAT. Landed up breaking my back in 2006, recovered, luckily, and was ready in 2011, and was in the meeting, you know, for all the new applicants. Back then, you had to be in Metro to try out, and sat through the meeting, and at the end of the meeting, I was like, I don't want to do this. The passion wasn't there.
Right.
So I ended up staying in Metro, doing some other things, making detective. And when I made detective, good friend of mine now was a D3 over at SIS, and he called me and he says, hey, would you be interested in coming over? And I'll be honest, I thought he was joking. I really did. I'm like, I don't have the investigative background, blah,
right.
blah, blah. And, I said, I've worked Metro my whole career. He goes, yeah. He goes, that's why we want you. He says, you have a background, you have a skill set that's very different than most detectives. Most guys don't wait 21 years to become a detective.
Yeah.
I became a detective very late in my career.
100%.
So having that and then not really knowing what SIS did is, you hear the rumors, you hear the, what the Times called us, all these different things. But I knew they were great people. I knew, because I knew them,
Right.
And we'll talk about this in a minute, but, Flashbang, my company.
Yes.
I had made earplugs for SIS. So I knew all of them. They were all great guys. I knew some of them from before working other divisions, stuff like that. So I'm like, no, this is a great unit, and I'll be honored to try out.
Right.
And then even more honored having made the team and getting my number and all that. But kind of went off on a tangent, to be honest.
That's okay. No, because it's a segue right into what I wanted to talk to you about, man. Hey, Flashbang Industries, the birth. Talk to me. What was it all about, man? How did that come about?
So to be brutally honest, I hate saying that. 2006, my wife doesn't work. She's a stay-at-home mom. We agreed on that. So I was, having to pick up some slack and doing off-duty jobs, working security, all the stuff that we could do, right? Bodyguard for Tom Cruise, George Clooney, all that stuff. But man, I'd leave my house at 5 a.m. I'd get home at 6, 7 o'clock at night if I was lucky on my days off, right? Well, I wanted a pair of these custom earplugs. Didn't know where to get them. In the academy, the instructor told me, you don't rate. I can't, we're recruit, right?
Yeah.
I just want to protect my ears. And he's like being a jerk about it. So I forget about it. And years later, company out of Colorado, they actually do this, got in contact with them. And I just wanted a pair of earplugs. They ended up flying me out there, teaching me how to make them. And that's where the company started. It started out as earplugs for you.
Okay.
Because that's all we did was earplugs.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening was, as I would go to different agencies, different divisions, and make earplugs, people learned, oh, Mark works Metro, or Mark does this, and hey, what holster do you carry, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm tired of being a salesman for all these other companies.
Yeah, that's right.
So I started a company where I actually sold gear too. Well, earplugs for you really didn't fit. So I'm like, what name can I come up with? Like, what brand, right? And kind of brainstormed, and a really good friend of mine who's on the job, but we played high school ball together, and same with Alex. He was on that team too.
That's right. Shout out to Alex, man.
We just sat there, and then I don't know if I said it or he said it, and flashbang. Well, if you don't know what a flashbang is, it's technically a noise flash diversionary device.
Okay.
That's used by military, SWAT teams, SIS uses them, and it's used to basically distract the suspect and give you time. But they're loud. I mean, they're anywhere 170, 190 decibels. I mean, they're loud.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, that's perfect, right? Because earplugs,
Bang.
then you need protection. So Flashbang came out and started doing all that stuff. And I really had a passion for the branding. Started doing it, made some T-shirts, and man, it was sold out.
Took off from there.
Yeah, but I didn't know the T-shirt game. Yeah. So I knew the earplug game, didn't know the T-shirt game, so I kind of shelved the T-shirts and continued doing earplugs, and I was kind of known as the earplug guy. I mean, there's people like, oh, you're the earplug guy, which is fine, you know. As I got close to retirement, I'm like, I still had that passion for Flashbang, the brand.
Yeah.
So I do the earplugs. I bought this Sprinter van that, you know, if you see on social media, we go all over the place.
Yeah. That just broke down recently.
That just broke down recently, and
that you fixed.
Henry's Auto Repair in Whittier, man. Shout out to them because
Shout out to Henry Autos.
great guy. It's actually Sergio, but the name of the place is Henry's.
Let's give Henry's a shout out.
But the brand is really where the passion is. And with, because I've been doing the earplugs for so long, it's not that I'm not passionate about it. It's just, it's normal.
Yeah.
Right? Like making earplugs for a brand new recruit or a guy who works in a factory or Anderson Silva, the MMA fighter. You name it. That's how wide the gamut is. And we do it for everything, whether it's shooting, swimming, surfing, race car driving. We did the Cops TV show.
Yes.
They have an off-road racing team. We outfitted their whole team
awesome,
with. But then now I really got into the branding and I learned how to, not so much graphic design, but make my own designs.
Yes.
So that should be launching hopefully in the next 2 weeks.
That's
I keep
awesome,
saying it's days away, but not knowing the websites and then how everything has to be, because you get one shot, right?
Yeah.
And if somebody clicks on that site and it's not working, then you're done. So hopefully this will help.
Yes.
It's going to be flashbang-apparel.
That's what I was going to ask. What's the website? It's going to be what?
www.flashbang-apparel.com.
Of course it's going to help.
On Instagram, we're flashbang_industries. So, it's fun. It's like I talked about retiring, LAPD, right? It consumes your life. There's camaraderie, there's things. And when you retire, a lot of it's gone.
Yes.
So having my company has really helped me stay connected.
Yeah.
But on a different level.
Gives you purpose.
It does. And it gives me freedom.
Yes.
I get to choose where I go, when I go, how I go.
Oh, yeah, no.
Like being here today.
That's right. We're two retired guys and we set it up when we want.
Yeah.
Well, I got to be here on Mondays. So.
But so it's been fun, and hopefully we just keep making the earplugs, because that's really important for me, having worked with guys who are wearing hearing aids.
Yeah.
When you're young, you don't think about those things.
No.
You just think, whatever. And, we all know cops are cheap.
Yeah.
The
That's
earplugs,
a true statement.
Yeah. The earplugs aren't cheap, but they're not outrageous.
Right.
But you're protecting your hearing, which
it's important.
And it's priceless. And once you lose it, you don't get it back.
No, 100%.
I remember working SIS, and my partner, a great mentor of mine, and he's like, I'm talking to him, and he looks at me and he goes, "Oh, I have my hearing aids in."
You're like,
you didn't hear a word I said. I mean, obviously we weren't doing anything important, but I'm like, wow. I go, that bad? He goes, yeah, that bad.
You just let that murder suspect go.
Yeah, right. But so protect your hearing. Look, you don't have to use flashbang earplugs, but just protect your hearing. And get something that works and something that's comfortable and that's long lasting.
That's awesome.
And we meet all that. So
that's right. Hey, any advice? Leave the floor up to you. We're getting ready to conclude. That you have for anyone that wants to come on to become a cop? What kind of advice you have for them?
Know what you're getting into, and don't listen to everyone and their comments. Be true to yourself. Yeah. I have 2 kids, love them to death. Neither one of them wanted anything to do with law enforcement, which some people say I'm very lucky that they don't. But my whole thing is, look, their path is their path. And if they would have said, I want to be whatever, I'll support it 100%. So for the ones that do want to do it, don't let people talk you out of it. It's given me a great career. It's given me a great livelihood. And I've done things that, and when I say done things, they're good things, right? Yes. Traveled the country, trained with different units, met people, protected people that, only certain people get to do that. So for me, it's been such an amazing and blessed career that if somebody would have said, "Oh, Mark, don't do it," this or that, and like right now, right, we know it's tough. Yeah. And there's a lot of people saying, "Don't do it. Why would you ever want to do that?" Be true to yourself. Yeah. And know what you're getting into. Find a mentor. Yeah. Find somebody who's been there, done that. Yeah. Ask them the hard questions.
Yeah.
And the real mentors will tell you the truth.
That's awesome.
So.
Hermano, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate everything that you have shared with us. We're going to wrap it up. Please, please, please be safe out there, and don't forget to go Code 6. Thank you.